Journey back to a time when the universe was young, and divine power was not a matter of thunderous declarations, but of quiet, persistent evolution. Tonight, listeners are invited to dim their lights and settle into the encroaching shadows, allowing the clamor of the modern world to recede as a narrative unfolds from the annals of ancient Greek mythology. It is a story not of sudden, cataclysmic battles, but of a profound, methodical shift in cosmic governance that quietly reshaped existence over an astonishing 10-year period. Envision yourself transported to a serene hillside in ancient Greece, where the twilight mist lovingly embraces gnarled olive trees and the subtle fragrance of wild thyme permeates the air. This was the hallowed ground where venerable storytellers once gathered, their voices soft yet resonant, to weave narratives born long before humanity's first footsteps graced the earth. Tonight, one such enduring tale, a chronicle of a war so subtle yet so transformative, is about to be unveiled, a conflict that meticulously lasted a decade and profoundly altered the very fabric of reality. Prepare to enter this ancient realm, where the subtle interplay of power and patience set the stage for a new cosmic order. Long before the familiar pantheon, Zeus wielding his formidable thunderbolts, Poseidon commanding his mighty trident, and Hades reigning in his shadowy domain, a distinct divine lineage governed the cosmos. These were the Titans, whose dominion was characterized not by overt drama or spectacular displays, but by an unwavering, methodical order. Imagine them as the universe's inaugural administrators, each meticulously overseeing a specific facet of reality with the painstaking precision of a scholar organizing an immense library. Kronos, their sagacious leader, functioned as a cosmic clockmaker, ensuring the relentless march of time proceeded with impeccable regularity. His consort, Rhea, embodied the Earth's boundless fertility, diligently supervising the glacial ascent of mountains and the patient carving of river valleys. Oceanus, their esteemed brother, meticulously managed every drop of water encircling the known world, from the ephemeral morning dew to the boundless, enigmatic seas stretching beyond the farthest horizons. For countless ages, this intricate system functioned flawlessly. The Titans nurtured reality with the meticulous care of expert gardeners tending an expansive estate. Their rule was not predicated on fear or ostentation. They simply existed, as constant and dependable as the daily sunrise. Each dawn, Helios would guide his radiant chariot across the celestial expanse, not in a fiery rush, but with the steady, unhurried pace of one who had traversed this journey millions of times before, and would continue to do so for countless millennia to come. Yet change, much like water inexorably eroding stone, often progresses so imperceptibly that its onset goes unnoticed until, suddenly, everything has been irrevocably transformed. Deep within the earth, in subterranean caverns that had never known the sun's embrace, a new force was stirring. It was not a dramatic upheaval, nor was it heralded by earthquakes or cosmic explosions, but rather by the quiet, persistent growth of seeds germinating in the deep, dark soil. The Titans faced a burgeoning challenge they had not yet fully comprehended. Some among them had begotten children, a younger generation of gods who were beginning to perceive the world through a vastly different lens. These were not mere rebellious adolescents seeking disruption. They were thoughtful beings who had spent centuries observing their elders, slowly and quietly arriving at the conviction that a superior method for managing the cosmos might exist. Zeus, still youthful by divine standards, but already displaying the profound patience that would characterize his future reign, frequently spent decades perched atop mountaintops, simply observing. He meticulously watched how his father, Kronos, governed through scrupulous control, never tolerating unexpected deviations, never permitting the kind of creative chaos that might lead to groundbreaking discoveries. It was an effective system, yet Zeus began to ponder if it was truly the sole viable path. His siblings quietly harbored similar doubts. Poseidon would spend eons submerged in the ocean's depths, attentively listening to the myriad conversations of sea creatures, many of which had never been formally categorized by the meticulous Titans. Hades ventured into the deepest caves and explored subterranean rivers that remained uncharted on any of the official cosmic maps. Hera, meanwhile, diligently observed the intricate patterns of weather and the cyclical passage of seasons, noting subtle variations that the official records failed to acknowledge. None of them were, strictly speaking, plotting a war. Wars were inherently loud, destructive phenomena that threatened to dismantle the meticulous order everyone had striven so diligently to uphold. Instead, their actions resembled a protracted, exceedingly polite academic disagreement concerning administrative philosophy. They simply began to operate as if certain established Titan rules no longer applied to their burgeoning spheres of influence. Initially, these deviations were barely discernible. Zeus might subtly redirect a storm cloud or two. Poseidon might alter the course of a minor river. Hades might expand a cavern system without submitting the requisite paperwork to the Geological Management Department. These were minor adjustments, the kind of small-scale modifications that any capable administrator might implement to enhance efficiency. However, the Titans had constructed their entire system upon the fundamental principle that change could only occur through sanctioned official channels. After exhaustive deliberation and unanimous consent, even the slightest unauthorized modifications were perceived as nascent fissures in what was intended to be an unblemished foundation. Kronos, with his meticulous dedication to temporal mechanics, was the first to detect that some of his meticulously crafted schedules no longer perfectly aligned with unfolding reality. The response was precisely what one would anticipate from efficient cosmic administrators. They convened a meeting. Imagine the most formal bureaucratic assembly conceivable, held within a conference chamber the size of a modest mountain, where Titans were seated around a table vast enough to serve as a landing strip for flying creatures, had such beings existed at that nascent stage of creation. The discourse was impeccably polite, exhaustive, and utterly civilized. Kronos articulated his concerns regarding unauthorized temporal adjustments. Oceanus highlighted certain irregularities in his water management reports. The younger gods listened attentively, offering plausible explanations for their actions. They were not being defiant, they respectfully maintained. They were merely exercising innovation within the parameters of their designated responsibilities. This pattern of respectful disagreement persisted for several centuries. The Titans would issue gentle corrections. The younger gods would acknowledge the feedback, yet subtly continue to refine their work. Both factions maintained impeccable professional courtesy, all while becoming increasingly convinced that the opposing group fundamentally misconstrued the proper functioning of reality. Inevitably, even the most patient administrator reaches a juncture where gentle corrections prove insufficient. The Titans began to contemplate more formal measures, not outright punishment, but perhaps an administrative restructuring designed to provide more stringent oversight of the younger generation's burgeoning creative impulses. Meanwhile, Zeus and his siblings had been conducting their own clandestine meetings in various picturesque locations across the Mediterranean. Their discussions, too, were perfectly civilized, but they were independently arriving at their own conclusions regarding the necessity of administrative restructuring. They assured themselves they were not plotting an overthrow. They were merely preparing to implement a more flexible and adaptive management framework. And so commenced what would later be known as the Titanomachy, not with boisterous declarations of war or dramatic confrontations, but with two distinct groups of cosmic administrators gradually recognizing that their fundamental visions for the universe's management were irreconcilably incompatible. It was a conflict that germinated slowly, imperceptibly, much like a philosophical debate that gradually escalates in significance until one's entire identity becomes inextricably linked to proving the righteousness of their perspective. As the gentle approach of sleep tonight, allow your mind to wander back to that ancient Greek hillside where these profound tales were first recounted. Feel the cool evening air, redolent with the scent of wild herbs. Listen to the soft rustling of olive leaves in the breeze, and contemplate what it must have been like when gods engaged in conflict with the deliberate patience of scholars, taking years to make decisions that would ultimately reshape the very essence of existence. What truly transpires when two factions of immortal beings discover an unbridgeable chasm in their understanding of the universe's fundamental principles. As the initial murmurs of divine disagreement began to reverberate through the cosmic bureaucracy, one Titan found himself sleepless during the hours when even immortal beings typically sought repose. Kronos, the meticulous guardian of time, had always prided himself on his systematic approach to problem-solving. But now, for the first time in millennia, he was experiencing a sensation entirely foreign, an unsettling worry. Picture Kronos within his vast administrative chambers, an immense space existing beyond the confines of ordinary time, where thousands of cosmic chronometers ticked in flawless synchronization, diligently measuring everything from the grand rotation of planets to the delicate life cycles of the smallest insects. The walls were adorned with meticulously maintained schedules, detailing the precise moment every event in the universe was destined to occur. It was here, enveloped by the comforting predictability of temporal mechanics, that Kronos first began to grasp that his meticulously ordered world might not endure indefinitely. The genesis of the problem, as was often the case in those ancient days, lay in a prophecy. Yet, this was not one of those dramatic, world-shattering pronouncements delivered by enigmatic oracles in theatrically smoky caverns. Instead, it had originated from his own mother, Gaia, during what should have been a routine familial consultation concerning seasonal adjustments for the impending millennium. Gaia, the venerable earth goddess, had always epitomized practicality within the celestial family, her focus consistently gravitating towards the tangible realities of soil composition and the intricate networks of root systems, rather than indulging in ostentatious displays of power. It was with an almost disarmingly casual air that she once imparted the revelation that one of Kronos's progeny was destined to eventually supersede him as the universe's principal cosmic overseer. This momentous prophecy was delivered with the same unadorned, factual tone she might employ when discussing the optimal rotational schedule for agricultural yields. It is, quite simply, the inherent order of existence, she had elucidated, her voice imbued with the serene authority of an entity who had witnessed the ceaseless repetition of identical patterns across innumerable epochs. Administrative frameworks invariably undergo transformation, and novel managerial methodologies invariably emerge. The subsequent generation invariably contributes fresh viewpoints to established operational systems. For the majority of sentient beings, such an pronouncement might have offered a measure of solace, a gentle reaffirmation that while change is an inescapable facet of reality, it typically unfolds incrementally and frequently culminates in overall betterment. However, Kronos was hardly an ordinary being. He was the very embodiment of time, a deity who had dedicated an eternity to meticulously upholding flawless timetables, ensuring that every singular cosmic occurrence transpired with unerring punctuality. The mere concept of unscheduled administrative transitions ignited within him an unprecedented form of temporal trepidation. Consequently, he began to dedicate his contemplative hours to arduous calculations, striving to ascertain the precise juncture at which this foretold changing of the guard might materialize. His sophisticated chronometers possessed the capability to predict the exact instant when distant stellar bodies would exhaust their luminous fuel, when colossal mountain ranges would gradually succumb to erosion and transform into vast expanses of sand, and when entire biological species would undergo evolutionary metamorphosis into entirely distinct forms. Yet these same instruments remained utterly silent on the crucial question of which of his offspring would mature to challenge his dominion, or by what means, or at what specific time. This profound state of unpredictability manifested as a persistent, low-grade disquietude for a being whose entire identity was meticulously constructed upon the absolute foreknowledge of impending events. Kronos, therefore, found himself scrutinizing his children with the meticulous scrutiny of an individual endeavoring to identify nascent difficulties before they could escalate into full-blown crises. He observed Hades meticulously exploring subterranean realms that were conspicuously absent from any official cartographic records. He witnessed Poseidon conducting unauthorized experimental manipulations of oceanic currents. He noted Hera implementing subtle alterations to meteorological patterns without the requisite official documentation. Each seemingly minor innovation resonated within him as incontrovertible evidence of a burgeoning systemic flaw. These actions, it must be understood, were not born of malice. Kronos readily acknowledged that his children were inherently capable, intellectually astute entities who were merely endeavoring to execute their respective duties with enhanced efficacy. Nevertheless, their demonstrable readiness to modify established operational systems without navigating the appropriate bureaucratic channels strongly suggested a fundamental disregard for the meticulously structured order that underpinned the harmonious functioning of the cosmos. The ultimate solution, when it eventually presented itself to his consciousness, appeared to him as impeccably rational. If the core issue lay in the potential for his children to eventually accrue sufficient power to contest his authority, then the self-evident recourse was to preemptively impede their ascent to such a formidable level of influence. This was to be achieved not through draconian punitive measures or dramatic confrontational encounters, but rather through a straightforward administrative recalibration that would effectively confine them within safely manageable parameters. It was with this administrative philosophy in mind that Kronos resolved to ingest his offspring. Now, to an external observer, this might indeed sound like a violent, impetuous course of action. However, from Kronos's unique vantage point, it represented a remarkably gentle and pragmatic resolution to an intrinsically intricate administrative dilemma. He harbored no intention of annihilating his children. Such an act would be inherently wasteful and would inevitably generate superfluous logistical complications in terms of cosmic cleanup. Instead, his intention was simply to effect their relocation to a secure internal environment where they would be utterly incapable of instigating unscheduled disruptions to critical cosmic operations. From within the confines of his own divine interior, his children would remain perfectly secure and entirely comfortable. They would persist in their existence, continue to cogitate, and further cultivate their inherent capabilities, albeit within a stringently controlled milieu where their burgeoning innovations could not inadvertently compromise the delicate, intricate mechanisms responsible for the seamless operation of reality. It was, Kronos meticulously reassured himself, a provisional security protocol meticulously designed to safeguard the paramount interests of all involved parties. The execution of this process itself unfolded with surprising lack of drama. As each child made its entrance into the world, Kronos would simply retrieve them with the meticulous precision of an individual handling extremely delicate instrumentation, open his mouth, and then proceed to swallow them whole. There was no trace of anger, no overt violence, no theatrical proclamations concerning power or predestination, merely the unadorned act of a father making what he perceived to be a thoroughly rational decision to simultaneously protect both his progeny and his overarching cosmic responsibilities. Rhea, his consort, found this peculiar behavior somewhat unsettling, not because she genuinely believed Kronos was acting with deliberate cruelty. Indeed, she comprehended his underlying rationale and genuinely appreciated his unwavering dedication to preserving universal stability. Rather, she harbored reservations and pondered whether alternative methodologies might exist that did not necessitate quite such an extensive degree of internal child containment. Her gentle, tentative propositions, such as the potential development of a secure cosmic daycare facility or the implementation of a meticulously structured mentorship program, were consistently met with Kronos's patiently articulated explanations concerning the imperative of rigorous risk management and the undeniable benefits of administrative efficiency. As the years inexorably unfolded, the system appeared to function with impeccable efficacy. Each newly arrived child was promptly and securely contained, thereby eliminating any conceivable prospect of future administrative conflicts. Kronos's intricate schedules remained flawlessly precise. His vast cosmic operations proceeded entirely without interruption, and the universe steadfastly maintained its meticulous order. Within the sanctuary of his divine interior, his children continued their developmental trajectories in what amounted to an exceptionally exclusive educational environment, gaining profound insights into the very nature of reality from an internal perspective, all while remaining safely incapacitated from making any unauthorized modifications to universal systems. Yet Rhea, possessing the Earth Goddess's intrinsic, intuitive comprehension of natural cycles and rhythms, began to discern that this seemingly perfect solution might, in fact, be inadvertently generating novel complications even as it ostensibly resolved older ones. While the children were no longer instigating external disturbances, they were concurrently failing to acquire the essential skills required to operate effectively within established cosmic systems. Instead, they were independently formulating their own idiosyncratic concepts of cosmic governance, doing so in complete and utter isolation from the prevailing administrative structures. She commenced engaging in discreet, hushed conversations with other members of the celestial family regarding the long-term viability and sustainability of Kronos' chosen methodology. Her mother-in-law, Gaia, listened with the profound, patient attentiveness of an ancient entity who had witnessed countless administrative transitions unfold over the course of millennia. The elder goddess gently underscored the immutable truth that prophecies possessed an uncanny propensity for self-fulfillment. Irrespective of the elaborate precautions painstakingly erected to avert their realization. Occasionally, Gaia sagely observed in her characteristic pragmatic manner, "The very measures we implement with the intention of circumventing a particular problem ultimately prove to be the precise catalysts that bring about the very predicament we were so earnestly striving to evade." Rhea dedicated extensive hours to profound contemplation of this observation. She fully grasped Kronos' genuine anxieties. The preservation of cosmic order was, undeniably, a task of immense gravity, demanding meticulous attention to the minutiae of detail and an unwavering adherence to established protocols. However, she also recognized with equal clarity that their children were steadily cultivating their own innate capabilities and developing distinct perspectives, and that, eventually, they would inevitably be required to participate in cosmic management, irrespective of Kronos' readiness for their involvement. When she once again found herself pregnant, Rhea confronted a decision of profound difficulty. She could either permit Kronos to perpetuate his established security protocol, thereby ensuring another generation of divinely contained, yet fundamentally isolated development. Alternatively, she could endeavor to implement a radically different approach, one that simultaneously acknowledged the critical importance of cosmic stability and the undeniable inevitability of administrative evolution. One might reflect upon the immense gravity of such choices, the delicate equilibrium that must be struck between the imperative of protection and the necessity of development, between the maintenance of established order and the allowance for organic growth. One could readily envision Rhea traversing moonlit groves, acutely aware of the nascent life burgeoning within her, all while meticulously weighing decisions that would ultimately impact not merely her immediate family, but the very foundational essence of divine governance itself. Sometimes, the most profound expression of parental affection lies in granting children the autonomy to forge their own paths, even when that journey leads into the unsettling embrace of uncertainty. Ultimately, Rhea made the momentous choice of embracing trust over security, though her decision would necessitate the kind of intricate and elaborate deception that only a mother driven to desperation could conceivably contrive. When the appointed time arrived for the birth of her youngest child, she journeyed far from Kronos' central temporal headquarters, seeking refuge on the secluded island of Crete. There, ancient caves, meticulously sculpted by geological forces over eons, delved deep into the limestone mountains, effectively concealed even from the most advanced cosmic monitoring systems. The particular cavern she selected had been artfully shaped by millions of years of patiently flowing water, each individual droplet contributing to the creation of gracefully smooth curves within the stone walls. It was subtly illuminated by tranquil pools of natural springs that captured and reflected whatever ambient light managed to filter down from the world above. It was here, within this serene sanctuary that existed entirely outside the purview of normal administrative channels, that Zeus made his entrance into the world, not heralded by the dramatic crash of thunderclaps or the grandiloquent spectacle of cosmic fanfare, but rather by the gentle, soothing sounds of water steadily dripping and the soft murmur of wind whispering through hidden passages. Rhea was acutely aware that she likely possessed only a matter of hours before Kronos would anticipate her return with their newest offspring. Working with the practiced efficiency of an individual who had been meticulously planning this precise moment for decades, she carefully swaddled a substantial stone in soft protective blankets, fashioning a bundle that, to any casual observation, felt indistinguishably like a slumbering infant. She cradled this meticulously crafted decoy with the same profound protective care she would have lavished upon a genuine child, understanding implicitly that her performance needed to be utterly and unequivocally convincing. When the Divine Mother presented the swaddled bundle to the formidable Kronos, her visage artfully conveyed an impeccable blend of tender maternal love and a weary yet profound acceptance of his stringent security protocols. Kronos, whose singular focus lay in executing his containment procedures with unwavering efficiency and precision, received the offering with his characteristic meticulousness. Without so much as a flicker of hesitation, he consumed the package. Deep within his hallowed, cavernous interior, the stone settled, a silent, inert twin amidst his other living progeny, utterly indistinguishable from them unless subjected to an exceptionally scrupulous and discerning examination. Concurrently, within the secluded depths of a Cretan grotto, the true Zeus commenced an altogether distinct apprenticeship in the intricacies of cosmic governance. Far from the realm of rigid timetables and formal administrative directives, his early education was steeped in the vital principles of adaptation and inventive problem-solving. The benevolent nymphs entrusted with his care were veritable masters at navigating natural systems, recognizing that such forces could not be arbitrarily commanded, but rather had to be profoundly understood and harmoniously cooperated with. They meticulously instructed him in discerning the subtle atmospheric shifts that heralded impending meteorological events, in recognizing the cyclical rhythms of fluctuating water levels throughout the seasons, and in aligning his efforts with the inherent flow of natural energies, rather than attempting to impose an artificial, inflexible order upon their dynamic essence. His formative years unfolded amidst the exploration of labyrinthine cave networks, passages that had never been officially charted or documented. Here, he honed his navigational prowess, relying entirely on tactile sensations, auditory cues, and primal instinct, rather than consulting pre-established static routes. His youthful diversions consisted of games that demanded rapid adjustments to fluid circumstances, eschewing any reliance on strict adherence to immutable regulations. Unbeknownst to him, through these seemingly simple experiences, he was cultivating a profoundly different philosophy of cosmic administration, one fundamentally rooted in malleability and imaginative resolution of dilemmas, rather than constrained by unyielding bureaucratic control. The venerable goat Amalthea, who generously provided his daily sustenance, imparted perhaps the most crucial wisdom of all. That authentic leadership frequently necessitated addressing immediate, tangible needs, rather than becoming solely engrossed in abstract, long-term theoretical projections. She demonstrated through her unwavering dedication that an effective leader meticulously ensures that all those under their stewardship are genuinely receiving the necessary provisions to flourish and thrive, moving beyond mere verification that official systems are functioning strictly according to prescribed specifications. As Zeus transitioned from infancy through childhood into burgeoning young adulthood, a nascent awareness began to dawn upon him, an understanding that his unconventional upbringing was meticulously preparing him for a role of immense cosmic significance. The nurturing nymphs would occasionally share hushed narratives concerning the broader celestial panorama, the escalating friction between the venerable traditional titans and the emerging generation of younger gods, the mounting inflexibility inherent in the established administrative frameworks, and the detrimental ways in which unyielding adherence to archaic procedures was actively impeding essential adjustments to the evolving cosmic circumstances. He became privy to the fate of his siblings, securely held within their father's protective, albeit restrictive, custody. A paradoxical state where they were safeguarded, yet simultaneously rendered incapable of contributing their inherent talents to the grand tapestry of cosmic management. He further ascertained that his very existence was a closely guarded secret, a testament to his mother's audacious gamble, who had jeopardized everything to afford him the unique opportunity to cultivate his abilities in an environment conducive to independent thought regarding complex administrative predicaments. Years unfurled within the secluded sanctuary of the cave, their passage marked not by the precise tick of official chronometers, but by the organic rhythms of seasonal transformations and the inexorable march of personal maturation. Zeus gradually acquired the profound patience characteristic of one who has learned to await the opportune moment, rather than attempting to coerce outcomes according to predetermined, inflexible schedules. He assiduously refined the observational acumen of an individual who comprehends intricate systems by diligently scrutinizing their operation, rather than by merely consulting static instruction manuals. Crucially, he commenced the profound intellectual exercise of envisioning novel paradigms for cosmic governance, innovative methodologies that would seamlessly interweave the fundamental stability so highly prized by the Titans with the essential flexibility necessitated by ever-shifting circumstances. He conceptualized administrative architectures capable of adapting fluidly to unforeseen challenges without compromising their core functionalities, and leadership frameworks designed to uphold systemic order while simultaneously fostering an ethos of innovation and creative problem-solving. When he finally grasped the full, intricate scope of his father's elaborate security protocols, Zeus experienced not a surge of righteous indignation, but rather a profound, contemplative sadness. He comprehended that Kronos' drastic measures stemmed from an authentic and deep-seated concern for preserving cosmic equilibrium. Yet he also acutely understood that these very actions were effectively stifling an entire generation of exceptionally capable beings, preventing them from contributing their unique aptitudes to the collective welfare of the cosmos. His emerging conviction was that the true remedy lay not in condemning his father's approach, but in meticulously developing superior alternatives that could address those same fundamental concerns with greater efficacy and foresight. Upon reaching the zenith of his maturity within his clandestine sanctuary, Zeus cautiously initiated discreet contact with other members of his extended family, who shared his growing disquiet regarding the prevailing administrative arrangements. These individuals were not clandestine conspirators, plotting a violent overthrow of the established order, but rather sagacious beings diligently exploring possibilities for evolutionary transformation, changes designed to confer benefits upon all involved, including the very titans whose diligent efforts had, for so long, meticulously upheld cosmic order. Allow your consciousness to drift, carried by the murmur of water coursing through ancient limestone passages, the soft, rhythmic echo of solitary drops descending into placid, still pools. Envision a childhood spent in a realm where the very stone walls imparted lessons in enduring patience, where each unfolding day brought fresh revelations about the subtle, intricate mechanisms through which natural systems perpetually maintained their delicate balance. The initial tremors of change manifested with such imperceptible subtlety that even Zeus, with his rigorously cultivated ability to discern nuanced patterns, nearly overlooked them at first. It commenced with hushed conversations, conducted in the peripheral spaces of official cosmic conclaves, where younger family members would linger after the formal business had concluded, engaging in earnest discussions about alternative strategies for various administrative dilemmas they had observed. Metis, one of the astute ocean nymphs, whose designated responsibility encompassed monitoring the pristine quality of water in various celestial rivers, had been diligently compiling exhaustive records detailing inefficiencies within the prevailing management systems. Her motivation was not to instigate discord, but rather a genuine and profound commitment to enhancing outcomes for the myriad creatures who relied upon clean, dependable water sources. Her meticulous observations illuminated several critical areas where even minor procedural modifications could yield significantly improved results without causing any disruption to existing operations. These nascent dialogues unfolded in locales that were not strictly secret, yet were decidedly unofficial. A secluded grove of ancient olive trees existing within a temporal fold situated between Tuesday and Wednesday. A verdant meadow that materialized only when observed from a specific vantage point during the ephemeral hour immediately following sunset, and a series of interconnected subterranean caves that linked directly to Zeus's childhood sanctuary through labyrinthine passages never documented in any official geological survey. The participants in these gatherings were not engaged in revolutionary machinations. Instead, they were partaking in what might be aptly characterized as informal professional development. They meticulously shared their observations concerning the current systems, engaged in thoughtful discourse about theoretical enhancements, and cautiously explored possibilities for evolutionary change that could more effectively address a multitude of ongoing challenges. It was the organic genesis of thoughtful collaboration, a phenomenon that naturally arises when competent individuals are afforded the necessary time for careful deliberation on intricate problems. Zeus found these discussions profoundly captivating, for they perfectly embodied the very essence of flexible, adaptive thinking that he had learned to cherish during his unconventional education. Here were beings who unequivocally respected the paramount importance of cosmic stability, yet were entirely unafraid to critically evaluate whether established methodologies truly represented the optimal approaches available. They confronted administrative complexities with the same potent combination of creativity and responsibility that he himself had cultivated during his years of learning to harmonize with natural systems that defied control through rigid, inflexible procedures. Gradually, these informal deliberations began to converge upon a specific, overarching problem: the pressing question of how to effectively address the growing incompatibility between traditional Titan management paradigms and the novel categories of challenges that were beginning to emerge as the universe matured and its inherent complexity burgeoned. It was not that the Titans were executing their duties incorrectly, precisely. Their methods had proven remarkably effective for sustaining fundamental cosmic functions during the nascent phases of universal development, but those very same methodologies were now beginning to appear palpably inadequate for managing the more sophisticated and intricate challenges that arose as reality itself became increasingly elaborate and interconnected. This fundamental problem was perhaps most glaringly evident in domains such as weather management, where conventional approaches mandated the maintenance of strict seasonal schedules irrespective of localized conditions or emergent necessities. While this system operated satisfactorily when the world was simpler and more readily predictable, it generated escalating difficulties as ecosystems developed progressively complex interrelationships that demanded dynamic, flexible responses to continuously changing circumstances. Demeter, whose extensive responsibilities encompassed the oversight of agricultural systems, had diligently documented numerous instances where an inflexible adherence to predetermined growing schedules was, paradoxically, actually diminishing crop yields and consequently jeopardizing food security for various communities. She had ingeniously devised alternative strategies that meticulously factored in local conditions while still preserving overall seasonal stability. However, implementing these vital improvements would necessitate authorization from multiple hierarchical levels of Titan bureaucracy, a protracted process that could span centuries and might ultimately face rejection simply for being inconsistent with established, archaic precedents. Widespread difficulties were surfacing across various domains, from the foundational stability of geological formations to the intricate movements of celestial bodies. The younger deities, far from doubting the fundamental importance of cosmic order, fully grasped its indispensable nature. However, a nascent skepticism began to take hold concerning whether the prevailing methodologies for sustaining this intricate balance truly represented the most efficacious strategies available, or if they had simply evolved into entrenched customs, unexamined and unchallenged for countless millennia. Zeus, with the discerning ear of one who had keenly honed the skill of distinguishing between unproductive criticism and genuinely constructive problem-solving, absorbed these discussions. His divine associates were not merely voicing grievances about their operational circumstances or seeking to circumvent their duties. Rather, they were profoundly dedicated to enhancing the efficacy of cosmic governance for the benefit of all involved. This commitment extended even to the venerable Titans, whose meticulous efforts had painstakingly laid the very groundwork upon which these younger gods now sought to build and refine. The pivotal moment arrived during a profound exchange concerning the judicious allocation of resources, when an observation was made that several potentially invaluable contributors to the overall cosmic management framework were currently rendered inaccessible. This unavailability stemmed from stringent security protocols originally instituted by Kronos. This revelation ignited a meticulous debate over whether these protocols were, in fact, still fulfilling their original protective intent, or if they had inadvertently become obstacles, obstructing the very solutions to some of the critical issues they were initially designed to prevent. Zeus found himself compelled to recount the narrative of his own unorthodox upbringing, detailing how his formative years spent in an unconstrained environment had instilled within him innovative approaches to problem-solving. These methods, he posited, could effectively complement rather than outright supplant established traditional techniques. He further conjectured that his siblings might have similarly cultivated alternative viewpoints during their own protracted periods of confined study. Perhaps, he mused, the optimal resolution to the prevailing administrative challenges lay not in a binary choice between antiquated and novel methods, but in ingeniously harmonizing the most advantageous aspects of both philosophies. This profound dialogue culminated in what could reasonably be termed the inaugural formal planning session for what would ultimately materialize into a comprehensive blueprint for administrative restructuring. It was envisioned not as a tumultuous overthrow of existing cosmic systems, but as a meticulously conceived strategy for evolutionary transformation. This plan aimed to scrupulously safeguard the enduring stability that the Titans had so diligently upheld, while simultaneously integrating the essential flexibility demanded by the novel and emergent challenges confronting the cosmos. The very planning process itself mirrored the collaborative and highly adaptable methodology that the younger gods had progressively cultivated. Eschewing the creation of rigid, inflexible hierarchical structures, they instead organized themselves into fluid, dynamic working groups. These groups possessed the inherent capacity to reconfigure and recombine as exigencies dictated, enabling them to address diverse facets of the overarching cosmic challenge with agility. Furthermore, instead of devising elaborate, long-term plans that risked becoming obsolete even before their full implementation, their focus gravitated towards articulating fundamental principles and developing resilient, adaptive strategies capable of responding effectively to the ever-shifting cosmic circumstances. As these hushed conversations persisted over many months, and indeed, years, the participants began to grasp a profound realization. Their discussions had transcended mere administrative refinements. They were, in fact, meticulously laying the groundwork for an entirely novel paradigm of cosmic governance. This emerging model was one that inherently valued both unwavering stability and dynamic adaptability. Cherishing both individual specialized expertise and collaborative problem-solving, and embracing both a deep reverence for established wisdom and an open receptiveness to groundbreaking, innovative solutions. Tonight, as you drift towards slumber, let your imagination wander to those ethereal moonlit groves where nascent ideas took root with deliberate slowness and meticulous care. Much like precious seeds sown in fertile, yielding soil. Envision the arduous yet patient endeavor of forging profound understanding through countless understated conversations. Picture the gradual, organic development of mutual trust and a shared sense of purpose among these powerful beings, who intuitively understood that the most profound and lasting transformations are not born from dramatic confrontation, but rather from thoughtful, thorough preparation and impeccably timed execution. Concurrently, while Zeus and his companions were meticulously crafting their strategic blueprints for administrative restructuring, they gradually became acutely aware that they were not the sole entities harboring concerns regarding the prevailing cosmic management approaches. Far beneath the Earth's surface, nestled within locales that existed beyond the confines of conventional geographical boundaries, other potent entities had, for centuries, been contemplating similar intricate problems, each from their own distinct and unique vantage points. The giants, the cyclopes, and the Hecatonchires, the formidable hundred-handed ones, had been relegated to subterranean facilities. This placement was not a punitive measure, nor was it a consequence of perceived danger or incompetence. Instead, it was because their unique capabilities simply did not conform neatly to the meticulously organized structures that the Titans had engineered for the management of cosmic operations. Their inherent aptitudes were undeniably awe-inspiring, yet they were also profoundly unconventional in ways that rendered their integration into traditional administrative hierarchies exceedingly problematic. The Cyclopes, for instance, stood as unparalleled master crafters, whose profound comprehension of materials and manufacturing processes far surpassed any knowledge officially documented within the Titans. Extensive engineering manuals. They possessed the extraordinary ability to forge tools and construct structures that seamlessly merged unparalleled functionality with exquisite aesthetic elegance, achieving feats that conventional production methods simply could not replicate. However, their distinctive creative process was characterized by intuitive leaps and highly experimental methodologies that defied reduction into standardized procedures. This inherent unpredictability made it utterly impossible to incorporate their unique capabilities into systems that stringently demanded predictable, reliably reproducible outcomes. The Hecatonchires, on the other hand, commanded organizational capabilities so advanced that they held the potential to utterly revolutionize large-scale project management. Yet their operational methods involved simultaneous multitasking on a scale so vast and complex that traditional oversight systems were utterly incapable of monitoring or evaluating their progress effectively. They could orchestrate dozens of intricate operations concurrently, adapting their approaches in real time as circumstances evolved. However, they faced an insurmountable challenge in articulating their complex decision-making processes in a manner that conformed to conventional administrative documentation requirements. The giants epitomized raw, untamed power and astonishing endurance, attributes that could resolve specific categories of cosmic maintenance challenges with far greater efficiency than any existing methods. Nevertheless, their inherent operational style tended to prioritize immediate, tangible, practical results above strict adherence to established protocols. While perfectly capable of following precise instructions when absolutely necessary, their effectiveness reached its zenith when they were entrusted with broad objectives and granted the autonomy to determine their own unique methods for achieving those goals. All these extraordinary beings had been sequestered within secure underground facilities, not as a form of punishment, but rather as a peculiar kind of administrative quarantine. The Titans, with their long-term foresight, recognized the immense value of these entities and harbored a strong desire to preserve their singular capabilities for potential future deployment. However, they found themselves utterly perplexed as to how to seamlessly integrate such unconventional resources into their meticulously structured and rigidly defined management systems. Consequently, they had ingeniously devised comfortable, comprehensively equipped underground workshops where these powerful allies could continue to hone and develop their remarkable abilities, all without introducing complications into the routine flow of daily cosmic operations. From their secluded subterranean vantage point, the giants, Cyclopes, and Hecatoncheires had observed the gradual escalation of administrative tensions with profound interest. They comprehended, perhaps more acutely than any other beings, precisely how creative potential could be suffocated and stifled by an overzealous fixation on procedural compliance. They had devoted centuries to refining their formidable skills in isolation, ceaselessly envisioning how their unique proficiencies might contribute to the development of more flexible and ultimately more effective strategies for cosmic management. When Zeus embarked upon his discreet and careful inquiries concerning potential allies for his ambitious administrative restructuring proposal, it was, in retrospect, inevitable that someone would eventually bring these potent underground residents to his attention. The crucial connection was forged through an intricate web of informal communications that had organically developed over centuries, linking various entities who, for diverse reasons, felt marginalized and excluded from the official cosmic decision-making processes. The inaugural meeting convened within a colossal underground chamber, a space meticulously carved from solid rock by the unparalleled engineering techniques of the Cyclopes. Methods that, notably, were conspicuously absent from any official architectural manuals. The cavernous space was illuminated by an array of crystalline formations that possessed the extraordinary ability to generate their own ethereal luminescence, thereby creating an atmosphere that was simultaneously profoundly practical and strikingly beautiful. Zeus found himself deeply impressed not merely by the sheer technical sophistication of the environment, but even more so by the eloquent manner in which it unequivocally demonstrated how functionality and aesthetic appeal could be seamlessly interwoven when creative faculties were permitted to operate unfettered by excessive bureaucratic constraints. The ensuing conversation diverged dramatically from any diplomatic negotiation that had ever transpired within the annals of cosmic politics up to that juncture. Instead of formal presentations and rigidly structured official position statements, the dialogue unfolded more akin to a dynamic, collaborative brainstorming session, where each participant freely contributed their unique perspectives on shared challenges. The giants articulated their insightful observations regarding the practical difficulties inherent in implementing top-down management decisions without meaningful input from the very beings who would ultimately bear the responsibility for their execution. The Cyclopes voiced their profound frustrations concerning procurement systems that consistently prioritized stringent cost control over the vital imperatives of innovation and quality. The Hecatoncheires lucidly explained how their extraordinary multitasking capabilities held the potential to revolutionize project coordination, provided they were permitted to operate within flexible frameworks that could readily adapt to evolving requirements. Zeus recognized that the potential allies he sought were not merely offering a substantial increase in physical strength or martial prowess to bolster his burgeoning cause. Rather, they brought with them a wealth of profound wisdom and nuanced understanding regarding novel methodologies for tackling intricate organizational dilemmas. Their protracted periods of seclusion had afforded them ample opportunity to cultivate innovative concepts concerning the refinement of cosmic management frameworks, and their heterodox viewpoints had singularly enabled them to pinpoint systemic issues and devise ingenious remedies that more conventional thinkers might have entirely overlooked or dismissed. The collaborative compact that gradually crystallized from these profound deliberations was firmly rooted in a collective dedication to enhancing the efficacy of cosmic administration, rather than being driven by individual aspirations for personal advancement or an insatiable hunger for dominion. Every participant involved in these clandestine assemblies inherently grasped that their distinct individual proficiencies would attain their pinnacle of effectiveness only when seamlessly woven into intricate collaborative ecosystems. Such systems were meticulously designed to empower each contributor to deploy their singular talents and specialized expertise, all while steadfastly championing overarching, shared objectives. The Cyclopes, for instance, generously extended their formidable crafting abilities, proposing the fabrication of highly specialized implements meticulously engineered to amplify the operational effectiveness of various cosmic governance functions. These were unequivocally not armaments intended for violent engagement, but rather exquisitely sophisticated instruments conceived to facilitate the resolution of administrative conundrums with a far greater degree of efficiency and elegance than any extant methodologies permitted. Similarly, the Hecatonchires put forth the blueprint for elaborate coordination networks, capable of orchestrating a multitude of complex operations concurrently, thereby circumventing the very bureaucratic choke points that had historically impeded and protracted critical decision-making processes. The awe-inspiring giants, in turn, volunteered their immense capacities for undertaking monumental infrastructure projects, endeavors designed to fundamentally ameliorate the foundational frameworks within which the entire cosmic management apparatus presently functioned. In reciprocal acknowledgement of these invaluable contributions, Zeus and his loyal companions extended to these formidable confederates an unprecedented opportunity to actively engage in the pioneering development of fresh paradigms for cosmic governance. These new approaches were envisioned to champion creative problem-solving and agile adaptation, coexisting harmoniously with the venerable traditional imperatives of stability and systemic order. They collectively envisioned administrative architectures capable of seamlessly integrating unconventional proficiencies and diverse perspectives, all without imperiling the inherent dependability and robust reliability that had underpinned the Titan's successful stewardship for countless eons. As these surreptitious underground conclaves progressed, the participants began to discern that they were forging something far more profound than mere tactical partnerships. They were, in fact, laying the bedrock for a comprehensive, systemic alternative to the established cosmic management structures, not a radical overthrow designed to obliterate every achievement the Titans had meticulously constructed, but rather a transformative evolution. This evolution aimed to conscientiously preserve the Titans' enduring accomplishments, while simultaneously integrating innovative capabilities and progressive approaches, thereby enabling the more effective navigation of emergent, unforeseen challenges. The very process of planning itself served as a vivid embodiment of the collaborative and adaptive tenets they ardently hoped to implement on a universal scale. Eschewing the antiquated model of rigid hierarchical structures with rigidly predetermined roles, they meticulously cultivated flexible working relationships. These relationships possessed the inherent capacity to fluidly reconfigure themselves as circumstances dictated, thereby adeptly addressing the multifaceted dimensions of their shared aspirations. Rather than constructing elaborate, detailed, long-term blueprints that risked obsolescence even before their full implementation, Their collective focus gravitated towards establishing overarching guiding principles and assiduously developing the intrinsic capabilities necessary to respond with agility and efficacy to whatever unforeseen challenges and serendipitous opportunities might manifest. One might envision those luminescent crystal chambers, nestled deep within the subterranean reaches of the earth, where colossal entities endowed with singular, unconventional capabilities dedicated centuries to the meticulous gestation of ideas destined to fundamentally reconfigure the very essence of divine governance. Picture, if you will, the painstaking, patient endeavor of cultivating mutual trust and fostering profound understanding across a spectrum of disparate perspectives and operational methodologies. The gradual, yet profound, dawning realization that the sheer diversity of inherent capabilities could, in fact, represent an unparalleled wellspring of strength rather than merely another vexing management obstacle. These profound philosophical dialogues and the intricate underground alliances eventually reached a critical juncture, necessitating a more formalized organizational structure. This imperative did not arise from any inherent eagerness for direct confrontation, but rather from the undeniable fact that the philosophical disparities between the traditional and the innovative approaches to cosmic management had grown too substantial and too deeply entrenched to be reconciled through mere informal negotiations. Both factions, with a palpable sense of inevitability, recognized that some form of structured process would be indispensable to definitively ascertain which administrative paradigms would ultimately preside over the future trajectory of universal operations. The deliberate choices made for their respective headquarters conspicuously mirrored the foundational divergences embedded within their organizational philosophies. The Titans, adhering to their unwavering principles, established their command center on Mount Othris, a majestic peak that perfectly encapsulated every core value they upheld regarding proper cosmic management. The mountain itself presented a vision of pristine geometry, its slopes ascending at precisely calculated angles, a testament to the exquisite beauty of mathematical order meticulously imposed upon the inherent chaos of the natural world. Every conceivable pathway leading to the mountain's summit followed meticulously predetermined routes, each having been rigorously surveyed and formally sanctioned by specialized geological engineering committees. Furthermore, every edifice gracing the summit strictly adhered to architectural canons that had been refined over millennia, optimizing both functional utility and the potent symbolic representation of their unquestionable authority. From their commanding vantage point atop Othris, the Titans possessed the strategic advantage of surveying vast, sprawling territories with the comprehensive panoramic perspective deemed essential for truly effective administration. This elevated position enabled them to meticulously monitor adherence to established procedures, swiftly identify any deviations from approved protocols, and orchestrate coordinated responses to a myriad of challenges with the unparalleled efficiency born of clear, meticulously delineated hierarchies and precisely defined responsibilities. It stood as an administrative nexus, meticulously engineered to unequivocally demonstrate that cosmic order was not only an attainable ideal, but also a manifestation of profound beauty, provided that every entity committed wholeheartedly to operating strictly within the confines of established systems. Zeus and his confederates, conversely, inaugurated their headquarters upon Mount Olympus, a peak whose very character more accurately reflected their dynamic and adaptive philosophy towards organizational challenges. Olympus, while indeed towering higher than Othrys, derived its impressive elevation from organic, natural geological processes, rather than from any deliberate man-made engineering. Its slopes were characterized by their varied and often unpredictable contours, presenting a multitude of paths to the summit, and compelling travelers to flexibly adapt their chosen routes based on ever-changing conditions and their individual capabilities. The structures that gradually began to grace Olympus were thoughtfully designed to integrate harmoniously with the mountain's existing natural features, rather than imposing any predetermined architectural blueprints upon the pristine landscape. The stark dichotomy between the two chosen locations was by no means coincidental. It eloquently embodied a fundamental philosophical schism regarding whether truly effective management necessitated the stringent control of natural systems or the judicious cultivation of a cooperative working relationship with them. From their elevated perch on Olympus, Zeus and his companions commanded a view of the very same expansive territories that the Titans vigilantly monitored from Othrys. However, their unique perspective underscored the intricate, interconnected complexity of those systems, rather than the rigid, hierarchical relationships that the Titans' brand of administrative control inherently demanded. Both majestic mountains swiftly evolved into vibrant epicenters for intensive organizational development. As each opposing faction meticulously prepared to demonstrably validate the superior efficacy of their respective operational approaches, the diligent work unfolding on each peak bore a striking resemblance in numerous aspects. Both collectives comprised highly competent, unequivocally dedicated beings who were genuinely committed to the overarching goal of enhancing cosmic management outcomes. Both were assiduously developing sophisticated strategic frameworks for addressing a diverse array of universal challenges. Furthermore, both were meticulously constructing organizational architectures explicitly designed to coordinate complex operations with both efficiency and effectiveness. Yet, the foundational assumptions that profoundly influenced and guided their respective endeavors were, at their very core, irreconcilably different. On Othrys, the unwavering focus was singularly directed towards the meticulous perfection of immutable systems. Systems engineered to steadfastly maintain stability and unwavering order, irrespective of any external, fluctuating circumstances. The Titans painstakingly developed exhaustive protocols for every conceivable contingency, meticulously implemented redundant oversight mechanisms to rigorously ensure unwavering compliance with established procedures, and assiduously trained highly specialized teams to expertly manage various categories of administrative challenges strictly in accordance with empirically proven methodologies. Conversely, on Olympus, the paramount emphasis gravitated towards the proactive development of intrinsic capabilities, capabilities specifically designed to foster resilience and adaptability in the face of unexpected challenges and unforeseen opportunities. Zeus and his confederates ingeniously crafted flexible organizational structures, inherently capable of reconfiguring themselves dynamically based on evolving requirements. They established overarching general principles intended to judiciously guide decision-making in novel and unprecedented situations, and assiduously cultivated both individual and collaborative proficiencies that would empower them to conceive innovative solutions to problems that had, until then, remained entirely unencountered. The meticulous preparation phase on both mountains encompassed years of diligent effort. a process that bore a closer resemblance to rigorous academic research than to conventional military mobilization. The Titans undertook comprehensive and exhaustive reviews of existing cosmic management systems, painstakingly identifying specific areas where enhanced efficiency could potentially be achieved through improved coordination and more stringent oversight. They meticulously developed extensive training programs, rigorously designed to guarantee that all personnel possessed a crystal-clear understanding of their precise roles and responsibilities within the established hierarchies. They also engineered robust communication networks, capable of maintaining reliable and uninterrupted contact between disparate administrative departments, regardless of prevailing cosmic conditions. Zeus and his steadfast companions, in stark contrast, dedicated their efforts to unraveling the intricate web of complex interdependencies that intricately linked various cosmic systems. Their objective was to pinpoint strategic leverage points, where even minor adjustments might precipitate cascading, significant improvements in overall outcomes. They pioneered collaborative problem-solving techniques, expertly designed to coalesce diverse perspectives and varied capabilities, thereby enabling a holistic approach to multifaceted challenges. Moreover, they meticulously created dynamic learning systems, conceived to empower every participant involved to continuously cultivate new skills and glean profound insights as circumstances perpetually evolved. The divergence between the two factions was perhaps most strikingly evident in their respective methodologies for forging alliances. The formidable Titans extended invitations to various cosmic entities, offering them meticulously delineated functions within expanded iterations of their established administrative frameworks. Their overtures underscored the intrinsic security and profound stability inherent in operating within time-tested systems, the promising avenues for professional advancement, attainable through demonstrated proficiency in established protocols, and the deep satisfaction derived from contributing to the meticulous preservation of universal equilibrium. Still. Conversely, the burgeoning Olympians approached potential confederates by delving into how their distinct proficiencies might contribute to groundbreaking solutions for mutually recognized challenges. Their deliberations primarily concentrated on pinpointing shared objectives and cultivating synergistic strategies designed to achieve those aims with greater efficacy than any solitary entity or isolated organization could ever hope to attain. They passionately emphasized the boundless creative potential that materialized when a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives and capabilities was seamlessly integrated into inherently flexible and remarkably adaptive systems. While both strategies proved remarkably successful in garnering substantial support, they nonetheless appealed to fundamentally different categories of beings, each possessing distinct priorities and inherent outlooks. The Titans successfully secured allegiance from entities who placed a premium on unwavering predictability, clearly articulated hierarchical structures, and the profound contentment found in executing essential duties with exemplary precision and unassailable reliability. In stark contrast, the Olympians attracted beings who were invigorated by the allure of creative dilemmas, the dynamic engagement of collaborative problem-solving, and the unparalleled opportunity to conceive and develop pioneering approaches to intricate and multifaceted issues. As the intricate process of organizational development steadily progressed on both celestial peaks, it became progressively manifest that the philosophical schisms separating the two formidable groups were far too profound and entrenched to be reconciled through mere compromise or conventional negotiation. Both sides shared an astute understanding that their divergent approaches to cosmic administration represented entirely legitimate yet fundamentally incompatible blueprints for how the vast universal systems should be meticulously organized and efficiently operated. Consequently, some form of definitive and decisive process would inevitably be required to ascertain which overarching philosophy would ultimately guide the future stewardship of the cosmos. The sober recognition that a formal conflict was rapidly becoming an inescapable reality did not by any measure ignite a spark of excitement or enthusiasm within either camp. Both powerful factions fully comprehended that any direct confrontation between such formidable cosmic powers would invariably carry grave ramifications for the delicate stability of the universe, irrespective of which side ultimately emerged victorious. However, both also grimly acknowledged that the prevailing situation, characterized by two intrinsically incompatible administrative philosophies vying for paramount influence over the identical universal systems, was inherently unsustainable in the protracted temporal expanse. The narrative invites contemplation of those two majestic peaks, piercing the star-lit skies, each serving as a potent emblem of a distinct vision for how supreme power and profound responsibility might be judiciously organized and effectively exercised. One can readily visualize the careful, methodical labor unfolding on both mountains, where immensely competent beings dedicated their unwavering efforts to principles they profoundly believed would ultimately yield superior outcomes for all involved cosmic entities. As the intricate organizational preparations on both towering mountains advanced into their sophisticated stages, it became unequivocally clear that the eventual demonstration of administrative effectiveness would necessitate the deployment of highly specialized tools, meticulously designed to address the unique and unprecedented challenges inherent in cosmic governance. Both factions implicitly understood that their deep-seated philosophical disparities would, in due course, be resolved through the practical application and tangible demonstration of their respective administrative approaches, and both were resolutely determined to ensure they possessed the most efficacious instruments available for this impending pivotal process. The Titans, steadfastly adhering to their inherent preference for standardized solutions to readily predictable problems, concentrated their efforts on meticulously improving and perfecting existing tools and established techniques. They embarked upon comprehensive evaluations of their current administrative instruments, systematically identifying specific areas where enhanced precision or expanded capabilities might confer strategic advantages in complex cosmic management scenarios. Their methodical approach placed paramount emphasis on unwavering reliability, absolute predictability, and seamless compatibility with their already established operational procedures. The Olympians, in stark contrast, recognized that their inherently innovative approach to the multifaceted challenges of governance might demand entirely new categories of tools, instruments that simply did not exist within the confines of traditional administrative frameworks. This profound realization propelled Zeus towards one of the most consequential decisions of the entire looming conflict: the strategic establishment of formal diplomatic relations with the subterranean craftsmen, a race who had, for countless centuries, been assiduously developing and refining unconventional manufacturing capabilities. The Cyclopes, with their intuitive and unparalleled understanding of esoteric materials and intricate processes that defied reduction to standardized procedures, embodied precisely the kind of creative problem-solving prowess that Zeus's visionary approach to cosmic management was meticulously designed to incorporate and wholeheartedly support. Their innate willingness to engage in groundbreaking, innovative projects that boldly challenged conventional assumptions about the very limits of possibility made them unequivocally ideal partners for developing bespoke tools capable of unequivocally demonstrating the profound advantages of flexible, adaptive administrative methodologies. The very workshop where this extraordinary collaboration unfolded served as a compelling demonstration of alternative paradigms in organizational design. Instead of the meticulously planned and rigidly regulated facilities that the Titans typically utilized for their equipment development projects, the Cyclopes conducted their work in spaces that had organically evolved over millennia to inherently support creative experimentation and pioneering manufacturing processes. The entire environment was intrinsically designed to fluidly adapt to whatever project was currently underway, rather than demanding that projects conform to predetermined and restrictive spatial limitations. The inaugural instrument crafted for Zeus was something utterly unprecedented in the annals of cosmic administration. A formidable thunderbolt capable of channeling and focusing divine energy with an unparalleled degree of precision and remarkable flexibility. This was not conceived as a mere weapon designed for wanton destruction or crude intimidation, but rather as an instrument exquisitely fashioned for demonstrating leadership through the dramatic yet meticulously controlled application of immense power. The Thunderbolt possessed the capacity to generate spectacular displays that would invariably capture universal attention and unequivocally communicate authority. But it could also be judiciously employed for practical applications, such as sophisticated weather management, comprehensive atmospheric cleansing, and the strategic distribution of vital energy to systems requiring additional power. The intricate crafting process itself beautifully mirrored the collaborative, adaptive principles that Zeus ardently hoped to implement within cosmic governance. Instead of adhering to rigidly predetermined specifications, Zeus and the sagacious lead Cyclops engaged in an ongoing dynamic dialogue concerning which capabilities would prove most advantageous for the specific leadership challenges that innovative administrative approaches might inevitably encounter. The design progressively evolved through a series of iterative experimentations, with each successive prototype revealing fresh possibilities and unforeseen requirements that could then be seamlessly incorporated into subsequent versions. For Poseidon, the masterful Cyclopes forged a majestic trident that ingeniously combined practical functionality with a potent symbolic representation of authority over complex, inherently dynamic systems. The trident possessed the extraordinary ability to interact with water in all its myriad forms, from the boundless expanse of vast oceans to the minutes, glistening droplets. However, its influence extended far beyond mere hydrology, as it could also profoundly affect any system that shared water's inherent characteristics of adaptability and ceaseless flow. This made it an indispensable tool for expertly managing intricate networks, sophisticated communication systems, and any organizational challenges that necessitated the harmonious coordination of multiple, intricately interconnected elements. The laborious creation of Poseidon's magnificent trident entailed extensive and exhaustive research into the intrinsic properties of various esoteric materials and complex energy patterns. But it also demanded careful and foresightful consideration of precisely how the powerful tool would be utilized within collaborative decision-making processes. Unlike traditional administrative instruments, which were typically designed for individual use within rigidly hierarchical structures, the Trident was specifically optimized for applications demanding intricate coordination among multiple users, each possessing distinct perspectives and unique capabilities. For Hades, whose profound responsibilities would foreseeably involve the meticulous management of systems operating outside conventional oversight mechanisms, the ingenious Cyclopes developed a helmet endowed with capabilities for selective invisibility and dramatically enhanced perception. This was unequivocally not conceived as a tool for evading accountability or operating surreptitiously in secret, but rather as an indispensable instrument that would facilitate the effective management of systems requiring subtle, indirect approaches rather than overt and ostentatious displays of authority. The helmet's complex development process necessitated extensive experimentation with the profound intricacies of perception and consciousness, uncharted territories that traditional Titan engineering had never seriously ventured to explore. The Cyclopes themselves found their own understanding being pushed to unprecedented boundaries as they meticulously worked to create an artifact that could profoundly enhance awareness and effectiveness without ever compromising the user's vital connection to collaborative decision-making processes. Each of these meticulously crafted tools represented not merely the pinnacle of advanced manufacturing capabilities, but also embodied truly innovative approaches to the fundamental and enduring question of how power and authority should be judiciously exercised within inherently complex systems. They were meticulously designed to substantially enhance leadership effectiveness while simultaneously reinforcing collaborative, rather than rigidly hierarchical, relationships between the users of these instruments and the intricate systems they were entrusted with managing. The intricate manufacturing endeavor concurrently served as an extensive pedagogical regimen, enabling Zeus and his kin to cultivate a profound comprehension of their intrinsic capabilities and the weighty responsibilities inherent in championing novel paradigms for cosmic governance. Their intimate collaboration with prodigious master craftsmen, whose intellect gravitated towards material properties, intricate processes, and boundless creative frontiers, rather than bureaucratic protocols and rigid organizational charts, endowed them with fresh perspectives on the formidable obstacles they were destined to confront and the ample resources at their disposal for surmounting these challenges. As tidings of these revolutionary instrument development projects disseminated across the cosmic expanse, reaching other potential confederates, the Olympian cause began to garner fervent support from sentient beings profoundly inspired by the innovative possibilities such pioneering methodologies heralded. The sophisticated tools themselves ascended to the status of potent emblems, signifying a fundamentally divergent conceptualization of authority and accountability, one that championed inherent competence and demonstrable efficacy over mere hierarchical rank and inherited dominion, fostered collaborative problem-solving instead of autocratic command, and embraced nimble, adaptive innovation rather than dogmatic adherence to established, immutable procedures. Meanwhile, the venerable Titans, meticulously scrutinizing these burgeoning advancements from their impeccably structured bastions nestled upon Mount Othrys, discerned that their adversaries were forging capabilities that manifestly transgressed the conventional boundaries of cosmic administration. Their calculated riposte involved a vigorous intensification of their own preparatory endeavors, focusing with unwavering precision on perfecting the reliability and exacting exactitude of their time-honored methodologies, rather than venturing into speculative innovations that bore the inherent risk of introducing unforeseen complexities in situations of critical cosmic import. Both formidable factions harbored the profound understanding that their respective instrument development projects were, in essence, laboratories of applied philosophy, serving as tangible demonstrations of how their divergent approaches to organizational predicaments would operate under the most arduous circumstances. The Titans meticulously refined instruments designed to guarantee an unwavering state of order and profound stability, even when confronted with the most exigent cosmic conditions. Conversely, the Olympians were meticulously engineering tools poised to facilitate effective adaptation and ingenious innovation, irrespective of the unexpected vicissitudes they might encounter in the cosmic tapestry. One might envision the soft, ethereal luminescence of forge fires casting their flickering reflections upon crystalline walls, illuminating the patient, dedicated artistry of master craftsmen. They painstakingly shaped exotic materials, hitherto uncombined, into instruments of unprecedented design, tools that had never before graced the realms of imagination. Picture the thoughtful, measured dialogues transpiring between the ingenious creators and their prospective users, a gradual, nuanced evolution of understanding regarding the precise requirements for the formidable challenges looming on the cosmic horizon. When the momentous unveiling of administrative effectiveness finally commenced, both meticulously prepared sides made an astonishing discovery. Their exhaustive preparation had perhaps been too thorough. Each distinct group had painstakingly cultivated organizational capabilities that were exquisitely tailored to their respective paradigms of cosmic management, and each had concurrently erected defensive systems capable of effectively neutralizing the other side's perceived advantages. The resultant outcome was not the decisive, conclusive resolution universally anticipated, but rather a protracted, unyielding stalemate that would rigorously test the inherent sustainability of both administrative philosophies under the relentless crucible of extended duress. The ensuing cosmic conflict did not unfurl with the dramatic flourishes of epic battles that future bards and mythweavers would undoubtedly invent to imbue the narrative with greater excitement for audiences who favored visceral action over abstract administrative theory. Instead, it unfolded more akin to an exceptionally intricate, long-term organizational case study, wherein two fundamentally antithetical management approaches vied to unequivocally demonstrate their superior efficacy in preserving cosmic stability, while simultaneously pursuing their distinct, overarching objectives. Each side commanded immense cosmic endowments and had assiduously developed sophisticated methodologies for the protection and judicious utilization of these resources. The Titans steadfastly maintained their traditional approach of meticulous, systematic administration, ensuring that all systems under their dominion continued to function in strict accordance with established schedules and prescribed procedures. Their vast territory exhibited remarkable stability throughout the entire duration of the conflict, experiencing minimal disruption to routine operations and consistently delivering expected services to all dependent cosmic systems. The Olympians, in stark contrast, showcased their divergent methodology by maintaining effective suzerainty over their domain through flexible, highly adaptive management techniques. These innovative approaches allowed them to respond with exceptional celerity to rapidly shifting circumstances. While their systems were inherently less predictable than those meticulously controlled by the Titans, they proved to be remarkably more resilient when confronted with unexpected challenges, and they consistently demonstrated a greater inherent capacity for innovation and continuous improvement over extended periods. The intractable stalemate ultimately materialized because the distinct advantages possessed by each side were perfectly counterbalanced by the meticulously engineered defensive capabilities of the opposing faction. Whenever the Titans endeavored to expand their dominion through systematic, methodical pressure, the Olympians could adapt and respond with a swiftness that outpaced the Titans' ability to implement their predetermined strategies. Conversely, when the Olympians sought to unequivocally demonstrate the superiority of their approach through ingenious offensive operations, the Titans' redundant defensive systems and their meticulous contingency planning proved robustly capable of absorbing and neutralizing even the most creative and unforeseen assaults. A protracted period elapsed, with neither side able to secure a decisive victory, yet both factions continued to evolve and augment their capabilities through the practical application of their organizational principles under extraordinarily demanding conditions. The protracted conflict organically transformed into a kind of intensive, advanced seminar in cosmic administration, wherein each side progressively refined its understanding of its own inherent strengths and latent limitations, while concurrently developing a burgeoning respect for their opponent's competence and unwavering dedication. The venerable Titans, through this arduous process, ascertained the enduring efficacy of their time-honored methodologies for maintaining cosmic stability and inherent order. However, they also gleaned the crucial insight that these methods proved less efficient than initially assumed when confronted by adversaries exhibiting superior agility and inventive capacity, particularly when established procedures required modification to address novel challenges. They began to comprehend that their cherished emphasis on unwavering predictability and stringent control, while inherently beneficial in certain contexts, could paradoxically become a significant disadvantage when navigating intrinsically volatile and capricious cosmic phenomena. Conversely, the ascendant Olympians acknowledged the undeniable potency of their pioneering strategies for devising creative solutions to novel problems. Yet they also discovered that the very processes of innovation and adaptation demanded a substantial expenditure of vital energy and finite resources, which were not always readily available precisely when needed. They began to cultivate an appreciation for the streamlined efficacy and dependable consistency inherent in conventional methodologies, even while steadfastly upholding their conviction that nimbleness and ingenuity remained absolutely paramount for enduring triumph in the stewardship of intricate and dynamic cosmic architectures. Both formidable factions also garnered invaluable insights into synergistic cooperation and astute resource deployment under the most stressful conditions. The protracted nature of the contention served as a demanding crucible, compelling everyone involved to cultivate virtues such as unwavering patience, resolute persistence, and the steadfast ability to maintain an unwavering focus on overarching long-term objectives, even when immediate progress seemed utterly unattainable. These acquired proficiencies were indispensable assets that would serve both groups exceptionally well, irrespective of the eventual resolution of the protracted contention. The enduring deadlock concurrently fostered unforeseen avenues for unofficial discourse between the opposing sides. These were not clandestine negotiations or surreptitious attempts at betrayal, but rather candid professional exchanges between seasoned cosmic custodians who were gradually beginning to discern that they shared more fundamental common ground than their profound philosophical differences might initially suggest. Both groups were genuinely committed to the overarching goal of proficient cosmic stewardship, and both had developed distinct yet valuable insights and proficiencies that held the potential to benefit everyone if they could be integrated constructively. These interfactional exchanges precipitated a growing awareness that the conflict might be approaching the point of diminishing returns, where the costs of continued confrontation began to outweigh any potential gains. Both sides had unequivocally demonstrated the effectiveness of their respective approaches under challenging conditions, but neither had conclusively proven that their methods were so intrinsically superior that the opposing approach should be entirely abandoned. Consequently, the pivotal paradigm in their inquiry began to shift, moving from the zero-sum question of which side should win to the more collaborative and constructive query of how can we resolve this situation in a way that preserves the valuable aspects of both approaches. The protracted nature of the contention likewise engendered significant impediments for maintaining cosmic stability in vast areas that weren't directly controlled or managed by either warring faction. Myriad universal systems critically required consistent attention and meticulous maintenance, irrespective of the ongoing administrative disputes. The substantial resources being devoted to the conflict were steadily eroding the overall collective capacity for routine cosmic management operations. Both sides eventually understood that their overarching responsibility to maintain universal equilibrium might eventually necessitate finding ways of resolving their profound differences that did not depend on achieving a decisive, conclusive victory for either administrative approach. In the twilight phases of this protracted cosmic contention, both the venerable Titans and the ascendant Olympians tentatively began to explore possibilities for resolution. These nascent explorations aim to acknowledge the legitimate strengths and merits of both administrative philosophies, while simultaneously establishing clear, robust frameworks for cosmic governance that could operate effectively and harmoniously, regardless of their inherent philosophical differences. However, these explorations were inherently complicated by the undeniable fact that both sides had invested significant resources, profound effort, and their very identities in their respective positions, rendering any form of compromise a perceived transgression against their fundamental principles and deeply held convictions. The ultimate resolution, when it finally manifested, would not stem from a decisive military triumph or a meticulously negotiated capitulation, but rather from a profound recognition of underlying elements that neither contending faction had adequately incorporated into their initial strategic blueprints. The intervention of more ancient, foundational forces, possessing an inherent vested interest in the overarching equilibrium of the cosmos that transcended the specific managerial methodologies employed to uphold that stability, would ultimately establish the crucial framework for settling what had previously appeared to be an utterly irreconcilable contention. Nevertheless, prior to this eventual accord, both sides found themselves compelled to confront the profound weariness and the significant draining of vital assets that invariably accompanied any protracted conflict, irrespective of the professional competence and skill with which such an engagement was conducted. Even entities of immense power and profound cosmic reach discovered that prolonged competition necessitated a series of compromises and adaptive adjustments, modifications that could fundamentally alter their core approaches to the intricate challenges they were striving to address. One might contemplate as thoughts gently meander the unwavering resolve and remarkable fortitude required for such an extended and arduous endeavor. Reflect upon the incremental acquisition of wisdom and insight that organically arises from a sustained and unyielding commitment to demanding objectives. Picture the dawning realization that certain complex problems demand a greater investment of time and relentless persistence than initial enthusiasm might suggest, and that the most pivotal victories occasionally manifest in forms vastly different from the preconceived notions held at their inception. While the celestial architects meticulously pursued their protracted ideological contest within their reclusive, elevated domains, daily life throughout the universe continued with the immutable cadence that beings of all kinds had learned to depend upon. The profound disagreement between administrative philosophies, though critical for the long-term trajectory of cosmic governance, exerted remarkably little immediate impact on the quotidian experiences of the vast majority of entities, who simply required reliable operational systems and predictable environmental conditions to pursue their own diverse activities and continued development. This unwavering continuity stood as perhaps the most compelling vindication of the inherent effectiveness of both administrative approaches. Despite their deep-seated ideological schism regarding governance philosophy, both the Titans and the Olympians remained steadfastly committed to maintaining the foundational mechanisms that ensured universal systems operated with seamless precision. The sun continued its cyclical appearance and disappearance according to established schedules. The seasons transitioned in their predictable patterns. Water flowed unceasingly through established channels, and the basic physical constants that governed everything from the colossal formation of stars to the delicate growth of plant life remained stable and utterly reliable. For most inhabitants of the cosmos, the chief indicator of the ongoing administrative conflict was the subtle yet discernible improvements observed in various systems, as each faction diligently strived to unequivocally showcase the preeminent efficacy of its distinct governance paradigm. Atmospheric phenomena exhibited a heightened degree of adaptability to regional climatic nuances, a direct consequence of Olympian experimental refinements and ongoing testing. Simultaneously, the upkeep of foundational structures achieved an unparalleled level of meticulousness and exactitude, bolstered by the augmented vigilance of Titan supervisory frameworks, designed to ensure optimal performance even under challenging conditions. The nascent mortal civilizations emerging across diverse planetary landscapes were perhaps most acutely aware of these evolving circumstances, though they interpreted them through their inherently restricted comprehension of celestial mechanics and overarching universal processes. They perceived an increased amenability and receptiveness in specific natural occurrences, seemingly more cooperative and responsive to their needs, alongside an elevated dependability and exactitude in other operational frameworks. In response, they formulated intricate religious doctrines and elaborate cultural rituals, meticulously crafted to foster propitious connections with the unseen powers they believed to be orchestrating these benevolent alterations, entirely unaware that they were, in fact, observing rival exhibitions of administrative prowess. Different communities, often without realizing it, found themselves unwittingly reaping advantages from the multifarious facets of the protracted celestial governance dispute. Agrarian societies, long accustomed to harmonizing their endeavors with the planet's ecological rhythms, observed a marked increase in the fecundity of their harvests, a direct consequence of meteorological control systems evolving to become more pliable and attuned to specific regional requirements. Conversely, metropolitan centers, whose very existence hinged upon unwavering infrastructural consistency, experienced elevated dependability and streamlined operation in their vital water distribution networks, waste disposal mechanisms, and public transit arteries. The myriad elemental spirits and lesser divinities who bore responsibility for managing various local systems found themselves presented with an unprecedented scope for showcasing their inherent aptitudes and specialized proficiencies, as both dominant administrative philosophies actively endeavored to substantiate their efficacy through quantifiable advancements in practical operational results. The stewardship of local aquatic resources attained a new echelon of intricacy and refinement, with river nymphs being granted expanded discretion to tailor their methodologies to the fluctuating environmental exigencies. Similarly, the oversight of sylvan domains achieved heightened exactitude, as arboreal spirits were endowed with augmented provisions and more clearly delineated chains of command for safeguarding the vitality of ecological systems. An efflorescence of cultural and artistic endeavors blossomed during this period, as beings of all kinds found themselves benefiting from a confluence of augmented provisions and attenuated external strictures on their creative activities. The rival administrative paradigms, each prioritizing the exhibition of beneficial outcomes, inadvertently fostered conditions conducive to the patronage of pursuits that elevated the overall quality of existence and amplified the collective capacities of diverse communities. These localized improvements collectively engendered a veritable epoch of prosperity for many communities. Yet, scarcely any entities then comprehended that their burgeoning welfare was a direct consequence of the ongoing celestial administrative rivalry. The quality of life experienced a steady, incremental, yet unwavering amelioration, as both principal governance methodologies vied to showcase their preeminence through the tangible implementation of their distinct tenets. The protracted nature of the cosmic confrontation also provided a fertile ground for the independent cultivation of individual aptitudes and nuanced viewpoints for various entities. Unencumbered by undue intervention from the higher echelons of cosmic governance, preoccupied predominantly with their overarching strategic rivalry, both the Titans and the Olympians inadvertently permitted a greater degree of self-governance than was typically afforded to localized decision-making and pioneering initiatives. Numerous communities and singular entities capitalized on this fortuitous period to explore novel methodologies for addressing their unique predicaments, thereby contributing to a pervasive ethos of progress and refinement that ultimately redounded to the advantage of all participants. Furthermore, the advancements achieved in foundational infrastructure and interconnected communication networks facilitated an unprecedented ease in the intercommunal dissemination of vital resources, accumulated wisdom, and burgeoning cultural expressions. This confluence culminated in an epoch characterized by unparalleled cross-cultural dialogue and reciprocal enlightenment, profoundly enriching all involved parties and catalyzing accelerated progress across disciplines spanning from agrarian practices and industrial production to the realms of artistic creation and profound philosophical inquiry. The avenues for intellectual growth and formal instruction proliferated, as both factions acknowledged that their enduring triumph hinged, in part, upon the nurturing of competent entities capable of contributing meaningfully to whichever administrative frameworks ultimately crystallized from the ongoing contention. The Titans instituted structured pedagogical curricula, meticulously conceived to indoctrinate nascent beings in the foundational tenets and operational protocols indispensable for maintaining stable cosmic oversight. In contrast, the Olympians pioneered more malleable scholastic settings, laying paramount emphasis on the cultivation of incisive problem-solving faculties and versatile adaptive proficiencies, attributes deemed invaluable irrespective of the precise exigencies the future might present. The conduits of commerce and informational exchange underwent substantial enhancement, as both administrative philosophies diligently strived to exhibit their prowess in orchestrating intricate, multifarious operations spanning immense cosmic expanses and heterogeneous environments. The Titans engineered systems for transport and communication, characterized by heightened dependability and foreknowledge, ensuring robust and consistent connectivity. Conversely, the Olympians forged more adaptable and perceptive networks, intrinsically capable of adjusting to evolving requirements and seizing unforeseen prospects with remarkable agility. As the conflict neared its ultimate culmination, both the Titans and the Olympians began to direct increased scrutiny towards the nuanced, unspoken indications of favor emanating from the diverse cosmic communities. Both factions grasped that the enduring viability of cosmic governance would, in the final analysis, be predicated upon widespread endorsement and collaborative engagement from the multitude of entities whose existences would be profoundly influenced by the administrative structures ultimately inaugurated. The incremental maturation of such discerning perspectives among the myriad cosmic electorates would ultimately prove to be an indispensable determinant in the adjudication of the administrative contention. No faction could assert unequivocal triumph through sheer martial might or the application of more intricate strategic machinations. Instead, both contenders possessed the latent capacity to garner endorsement from entities who had meticulously scrutinized their operational conduct amidst arduous circumstances and subsequently ascertained that their particular methodology presented more auspicious trajectories for enduring cosmic equilibrium and advancement. Of paramount significance, the prolonged duration of the celestial governance dispute afforded ample opportunity for a multitude of beings to critically appraise both methodologies in active deployment and to formulate their independent judgments regarding which approaches demonstrated superior efficacy across a spectrum of diverse challenges. This meticulous observational paradigm effectively fostered a nascent form of cosmic democratic discernment, wherein various entities possessed the capacity to assess the rival administrative philosophies grounded in their tangible, empirical outcomes, rather than being swayed by abstract theoretical propositions. As inhabitants of this cosmic expanse settle into the familiar rhythms of their personal routines this very night, one might consider the innumerable sentient entities across the universe who, during a period of monumental cosmic upheaval, pursued their daily existences largely oblivious to the profound metamorphosis occurring in the very fabric of celestial governance. One could readily envision the incremental ameliorations in their prevailing circumstances, the burgeoning avenues for intellectual growth and personal advancement, and the nascent dawning of an awareness that something fundamentally significant was reconfiguring the foundational principles of their perceived reality. This burgeoning awareness would ultimately prove indispensable for the ultimate resolution of the protracted cosmic discord. It skillfully redirected the collective focus from superficial inquiries concerning which faction possessed superior might or more intricate strategic acumen towards a far more substantive deliberation, which governance philosophy would genuinely uphold the enduring welfare of cosmic equilibrium and foster progressive development with greater efficacy. Her pivotal intervention materialized not through ostentatious declarations or awe-inspiring manifestations of primordial might, but rather through discreet, intimate dialogues conducted with individual members of the extended family from both warring factions. Her initial visit was to Kronos, whom she discovered laboring assiduously within his temporal administrative nexus, toiling deep into what served as night within locales existing beyond the conventional flow of time. The meticulous precision of his intricate chronometers had begun to register subtle, disconcerting irregularities, palpable reflections of the immense strain imposed by the ceaseless endeavor to uphold flawless temporal synchronization while simultaneously orchestrating an extensive cosmic conflict. As the epical cosmic administrative conflict approached its culminating years, an unexpected, yet profoundly influential voice began to subtly reshape the trajectory of events. Gaia, the ancient and venerable earth goddess, who occupied the unique position of grandmother to both the formidable Titans and the ascendant Olympians, had dedicated countless decades to meticulously observing the prolonged exposition of divergent governance philosophies. She watched with the unwavering, patient attentiveness of one who had personally borne witness to myriad transitions in cosmic administration throughout the vast expanse of millennia. From her unparalleled vantage point, as the fundamental substratum upon which all other universal systems operated, Gaia possessed singular and profound insights into the long-term viability and sustainability of various administrative paradigms. She comprehended, with a clarity unmatched by any other entity, precisely how decisions pertaining to cosmic governance profoundly impacted the essential stability and inherent vitality of universal systems. Consequently, she had become progressively more disquieted by certain critical facets of the ongoing conflict, aspects that neither belligerent faction appeared to fully grasp or appreciate. "You have been exerting yourself immensely," Gaia remarked, her voice imbued with the gentle yet undeniable authority of an entity whose fundamental support rendered the very work of all others feasible. She settled herself gracefully into a chair, which, with an almost sentient grace, automatically adjusted its form to perfectly accommodate her venerable presence. A subtle yet potent reminder that even the most intricately sophisticated administrative environments were, at their core, utterly dependent upon her inherent and unwavering stability. Kronos slowly lifted his gaze from his intricate calculations, his countenance etched with the profound weariness of one who had tirelessly grappled with an insurmountable conundrum for an interminably long duration. "The prevailing situation has evolved into a state of complexity far exceeding my initial projections," he candidly conceded. "The administrative methodology espoused by the younger generation exhibits an efficacy in ways that defy integration within our established analytical frameworks. I am encountering considerable difficulty in accurately prognosticating outcomes or formulating truly appropriate countermeasures." Gaia responded with an understanding nod, imbued with the profound patience of an observer who had personally witnessed countless analogous transitions throughout cosmic history. Innovation frequently engenders an element of unpredictability, she concurred sagely. This inherent characteristic constitutes both its paramount strength and, paradoxically, its most formidable challenge from an administrative standpoint. The critical inquiry, then, becomes whether the manifold advantages derived from heightened adaptability and inventive problem-solving capacities genuinely outweigh the inherent difficulties presented by diminished predictability and reduced centralized control. This profound discourse extended for what might have been measured in mere hours, or perhaps across entire centuries. Within the unique temporal distortions of Chronos headquarters, the flow of time itself operated on a divergent principle, and both participants were wholly engrossed in the pursuit of comprehensive understanding, rather than the mere adherence to temporal efficiency. Gaia meticulously guided Chronos towards the crucial realization that his deeply ingrained apprehensions regarding potential administrative chaos were predicated, in part, upon the erroneous assumption that any deviation from established methodologies would invariably precipitate a complete and irrecoverable loss of cosmic stability. However, her astute observations compellingly indicated that Zeus and his formidable allies were, in fact, profoundly committed to the preservation of universal order. Notwithstanding the distinct methodologies they employed to achieve that order, which diverged significantly from traditional approaches. Perhaps, Gaia gently posited, her voice a soft yet profound suggestion. The truly fundamental question is not whether change is occurring at all. Indeed, change is a constant, an immutable aspect of existence. That, in essence, is the very nature of robust and healthy systems. The paramount question that demands our attention is whether the transformations currently unfolding will ultimately reinforce or, conversely, undermine the overarching stability and long-term developmental trajectory of cosmic systems. Analogous profound discussions transpired with other esteemed titans as Gaia systematically traversed the vast extended family, imparting her unique perspective on the long-term sustainability and intrinsic effectiveness of diverse administrative paradigms. Her insights were firmly anchored in her fundamental and unparalleled comprehension of how cosmic systems genuinely operated at their most elemental levels. Crucially, her discerning observations were devoid of any political motivation. She harbored no partisan preference for either side, neither swayed by personal affiliations nor by predetermined administrative inclinations. Instead, her overarching concern was singularly focused on identifying those administrative approaches that would unequivocally support the enduring health and progressive development of universal systems, irrespective of which specific individuals or factions were ultimately entrusted with the formidable responsibility of implementing those approaches. Ocean, for instance, had astutely noted that Poseidon's inherently flexible and adaptive methodology for water management had demonstrably yielded measurably superior outcomes across several critical domains. These were precisely the areas where traditional, more rigid methods had been conspicuously struggling to cope with increasingly intricate and dynamic environmental conditions. The resulting improvements were neither dramatic nor overtly revolutionary in their immediate impact. Yet they were characterized by a remarkable consistency and an intrinsic sustainability. These qualities strongly suggested a genuine and enduring advancement, rather than merely a transient or ephemeral innovation. These series of profound discussions gradually unveiled a significant and growing understanding amongst many of the Titans. They themselves had begun to harbor nascent doubts concerning certain entrenched aspects of their own traditional administrative methods. This realization emerged even as they remained steadfastly committed to the foundational principles of stability and order that those very methods were originally designed to safeguard. The prolonged and arduous conflict had inadvertently furnished unparalleled opportunities to observe alternative approaches actively in operation. Consequently, numerous Titans found themselves genuinely impressed by the demonstrable effectiveness of innovative methodologies in successfully addressing complex challenges that established procedures had simply not been conceived or designed to adequately handle. Rhea, for her part, had keenly observed that Zeus's distinctly collaborative leadership style had proven remarkably successful in orchestrating and harmonizing diverse assemblages of beings, each possessing unique capabilities and varied perspectives. This approach consistently achieved results that would have been exceedingly difficult, if not utterly unattainable, through the application of traditional hierarchical management models. Again, the notable improvements were characterized by their gradual unfolding and pragmatic utility, rather than by spectacular, instantaneous transformations. Nevertheless, they unequivocally showcased tangible advantages for effectively resolving particular categories of intricate organizational dilemmas. These individual acknowledgments, each emerging independently, progressively coalesced into a more expansive and unified understanding amongst the Titans. They began to grasp that the protracted conflict had perhaps attained a critical juncture where continued opposition might prove less advantageous than embracing constructive collaboration. This was not to be interpreted as an act of surrender or an abandonment of their deeply held principles, but rather as a profound recognition that their overarching administrative objectives could potentially be served more effectively through cooperation with, rather than direct competition against, innovative approaches that had unequivocally demonstrated their genuine effectiveness. Even Kronos, notwithstanding his profound and unwavering commitment to temporal precision and administrative predictability, had commenced to acknowledge that certain facets of the Olympian approach might, in fact, complement rather than merely supersede traditional methods. Zeus's inherent capacity for swift decision-making and his remarkable adaptability to rapidly evolving circumstances could conceivably be seamlessly integrated with established systems meticulously designed for maintaining long-term stability and unwavering consistency. Gaia's subsequent dialogues with the Olympians revealed remarkably similar developmental trajectories on their side of the protracted conflict. Zeus and his formidable allies had, through observation and interaction, cultivated a significant and genuine respect for the Titans, profound expertise, and their unwavering commitment to the overarching cosmic stability. They had assimilated invaluable lessons regarding the paramount importance of reliability and consistency in the intricate domain of cosmic administration. Furthermore, they had arrived at a mature understanding that innovation, while crucial, necessitated a judicious balance with a profound respect for proven methodologies that had successfully upheld universal order for countless millennia. The ultimate resolution, when it finally manifested, eloquently embodied this mutual recognition of each side's legitimate strengths and invaluable contributions, rather than representing a decisive and unequivocal victory for any single administrative philosophy. The protracted conflict concluded with the judicious development of meticulously integrated approaches that skillfully combined traditional reliability with innovative adaptability, harmonizing established expertise with creative problem-solving, and blending hierarchical efficiency with collaborative flexibility. Zeus, in this new dispensation, assumed primary responsibility for the grand tapestry of cosmic administration, yet he did so within meticulously crafted frameworks that conscientiously preserved and effectively utilized the invaluable aspects of Titan expertise. Kronos, for his part, retained significant authority over the intricate domain of temporal management. But this authority was now imbued with enhanced flexibility, allowing for greater adaptability to dynamically changing circumstances. Ocean continued to discharge his vital water management responsibilities, but with significantly expanded opportunities for innovation and continuous improvement. The entirety of this transition profoundly represented an evolution rather than a revolutionary upheaval, meticulously building upon existing strengths while simultaneously integrating novel capabilities and fresh approaches that were demonstrably more effective in addressing emerging and complex challenges. The formal conclusion of the Titanomachy was singularly marked not by boisterous victory celebrations or the somber spectacle of defeated armies, but rather by meticulously organized collaborative planning sessions. Within these forums, former adversaries worked diligently and cooperatively to devise integrated administrative systems. These systems were meticulously designed to serve cosmic stability and foster progressive development, with an efficacy far surpassing what either individual approach could have achieved in isolation. It was a resolution that profoundly mirrored the patient, thoughtful, and ultimately deliberative nature of the conflict itself. A compelling demonstration that even fundamental and deeply entrenched disagreements could indeed be resolved through a sustained commitment to profound understanding and a genuine cultivation of mutual respect. As one concludes their journey through these venerable narratives and prepares to embrace slumber, one might envision the profound, quiet contentment derived from intricate dilemmas resolved through unwavering perseverance and profound perspicacity, rather than through overt coercion or artful manipulation. It is possible to picture the gradual dawning of awareness that individuals or factions initially perceived as adversaries frequently possess a greater expanse of shared principles than their superficial distinctions might imply. Furthermore, the most efficacious resolutions often materialize not from the decisive triumph of one particular methodology over another, but from the deliberate and patient amalgamation of diverse strengths and varied perspectives. One can find repose in the understanding that even the most formidable deities necessitate ample time to meticulously navigate and unravel deeply complex predicaments. Moreover, it becomes clear that the most propitious conclusions frequently manifest as subtle, understated genesis points, cleverly disguised as endings. May one's personal tribulations and intricate challenges ultimately attain satisfactory resolution through the virtues of steadfast endurance, sagacious judgment, and that particular brand of collaborative spirit which adeptly transforms erstwhile antagonists into synergistic partners, collectively forging accomplishments of far greater magnitude and quality than any solitary endeavor could ever hope to achieve. The epic saga of the Titanomachy offers a profound and enduring lesson that societal transformation, even when it is fundamental in its scope, can indeed unfold both incrementally and constructively. This beneficial evolution occurs when all parties involved remain steadfastly committed to achieving outcomes that unequivocally serve the collective welfare of the common good. And in the contemporary epoch, when humanity confronts periods of significant upheaval and contentious disputes that often appear insurmountable, one might thoughtfully recall the wisdom of these ancient cosmic administrators. They discovered that the most resilient and lasting solutions do not spring forth from swift, decisive victories, but rather from the diligent, unhurried cultivation of mutual comprehension and the assiduous work of devising methods to respectfully acknowledge the inherent worth in both established traditions and emergent possibilities.